Hello everyone, Josh first back again, bringing guys some more Elune. Now, the game is going to be releasing globally later today. Could be here as early as an hour and 4 minutes from now or later in the day, but it will be here at some point today for pretty much the rest of you. Some of you may be here tomorrow depending on where your time zone is, but within like the next 24 hours or so, it should be here. But with that said, what unit should you reroll for? And right now, we have a list of the current legendaries available in like the Taiwan version. I believe even the Korean version as well. I think, could be a little bit wrong on that. But some of the units that are available, there are some that are better than others, especially overall for starting a new account. And we are keeping in mind, this is for free-to-play players. If you're going to whale out, maybe you'll choose somebody different depending on what you're trying to do. If you're going to summon a lot or whatever, especially if you're trying to be more competitive in PvP, in endgame, you know. So some of these things may differ. But for my personal top 3 to reroll for, my personal choices, I would go with Mikazuki, Freya, and Fahrenheit. Now, some honorable mentions and very good mentions is Revi and Caroline. If you're looking for really good single target DPS and characters that are going to go in and do a lot of damage to bosses and boss raids and stuff like that, and very good in PvP as well, just go in and try and one-shot, two-shot some higher-up enemies, especially if you're dealing with a lot of tanks or tanky teams, for example. They're going to be very good units. Very good. Okay, so I just want to throw those two out there because they could have very easily, either one of those, been on the top 3 on my list right now, but I just feel like these other 3 units have a little bit more to offer for you overall, especially if you're going to be free to play in this game long term or even for just a little while. So, to get you started, we're going to go ahead and start with Mikazuki, debuff for female, legendary of course. Now, you could reroll at 1, 2, and I believe 1, 5 as well. We're also getting the pre-registration reward, so I believe that's going to be a free multi. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do now. We will be doing a reroll video, how to reroll as well, but I wanted to make sure that I got you guys prepared on what to reroll for. So I just wanted to get all that out of the way. And also remember, when you do your free selectives, you're only going to be able to get 3-star legendaries, not 5-star legendaries, which you can get at 1, 2. So keep that in mind. They're both going to be equally as good. It's just the 3-star legendaries are going to be a lot harder to build up because you got to get them up to a 4 and a 5, etc., etc. While as the 5-star legendaries are at a 5. So just a little bit of backstory there for you guys. But enough of all that. Back to the meat of it here. So we got Mikazuki, or Mika for short, what I like to call her. She is a very AoE heavy unit, and she also has a lot of debuffing. And that's very good because if you're trying to clear out story modes or any kind of raid modes or anything like that that have multiple monsters, it's going to be very helpful to kind of clean them out as fast as possible so you can kind of get to the main things. Especially if we're running against a tanky team, you want to kind of take out all the units around the tank and then single out isolate the tank to eventually take it out in PvP. And so there's a lot of different things you can do with that. So what can she do? All enemies, physical damage, / enemies dealing X amount of damage, physical damage to all enemies. Damage divided by the number of enemies. So, she'll do more damage to individual monsters the less there is. And she'll do less damage the more monsters there are. So, she kind of got like a nice little twerk there. Twerk, I said twerk. I meant quirk, whatever. It's all good. So that's kind of nice. It makes her kind of very good even if you have less enemies to fight or more enemies to fight. She's still going to be doing a lot of damage depending. So I actually kind of like how her skill 1 is kind of developed on that. I don't know if I'm going to call it a skill 1, but that's what I'm going to call it. Now, she does Phantom Barrage. It's a front first, which means it'll attack the front row enemies first. Physical damage, physical effect, and nature effect. So it does have debuffs. Strike the enemy 4 times, dealing 1,700 and X amount of damage. Physical damage, cast physical effect that causes bleeding, I think that means bleeding, for 4 turns, and nature effect that causes epidemic for 1 turn. So that is her Phantom Barrage. So not only does she offer you some AoE attacks, she also offers you single target as well. So it just more further adds to her value because now she's a little bit of both in a way on top of her debuffing. Now, her ultimate, Goblin Strike, Goblin Slayer would be proud of that name. She does all enemies, physical damage, and curse effect. Shreds enemies dealing X amount of damage, physical damage to all enemies for enemies afflicted by weaken or status effect. 100% chance to inflict a curse effect that causes panic for 3 turns. Now, we're going to be doing another video where we're going to be talking about all the different status effects, debuffs, buffs, and stuff like that. So don't worry if some of you are confused, like, what are some of these status effects? We're going to be talking about that in another video, so do not worry. That'll be coming. Now, her 3 passives, Devil's Bane, Remorseful Strike, Intangible Illusion, all cool names. Passive 1, reduces a random tolerance effect by 1 level when attack is successful. Passive 2, cast weakening effect that reduces physical defense of the target by 50% for 2 turns. Pretty crazy when attack lands as a critical. And we're going to be talking about her critical as well, her critical rate. Her passive 3 increases evasion rate by 50% when receiving attacks from an enemy with a debuff. So if the enemy has a debuff and it tries to attack you, your evasion rate's going to go up by 50%, which is pretty crazy. Cast spell effect that steals the enemy for 2 turns when evading an attack. Just, she's so good. She's so resourceful because she kind of has like, she debuffs, but she also has kind of like an unspoken buff on herself as well, which is really, really nice. Now, we have her skill gems. If you have all 3 of her skill gems, you get her gem set bonus. You, on her normal Phantom Slash, you get 5% chance to restrain target for 1 turn, 5% chance to petrify target for 1 turn, and 10% chance to paralyze target for 1 turn. So, she's just debuffing like crazy. Here are her stats. At max plus 5, she's at 33,000 HP. So, she's a little bit on a lower end-ish for HP. But I feel like she makes up a little bit for it with her pretty balanced physical defense and magic defense, because they're both kind of hovering around the 5K mark, which is a little bit higher than DPS units that are like kind of floating around like the low 4,000s, mid 4,000s. So she's kind of picking up some stats there, and her attack is actually pretty good at a 8,600, almost 8,700 there. So she's not like up there in the higher like 8,000s to 9K, which you would find with your strong single target DPSs. But it's still up there high enough to be very, very good. Her speed is also very good. 108. Her evasion is 31, and her crit is 41. So her crit is at 41 there. So that's going to be important to know that, because, again, she does have some of her skills and passives that kind of rely a bit on that crit. So definitely keep that in mind. And again, her evasion is 31, all that good stuff. So you know a little bit about Mikazuki now. Let's go ahead and talk about Freya. Excuse me. Alright, there's Freya. Freya's amazing. Freya is a healer, female, part of the Guardians dimension, and of course also a legendary. Celestial Light, Guardian Spirit, and Eternal Blessing are her 3 skills: normal, special, and ultimate. And all targets heal magical damage for her I keep wanting to say S1, S2, S3. Too used to playing other games. Her special is all allies barrier, and then her ultimate is all allies heal and soul effect. So, on her normal skill, she shines Celestial Light on an ally to heal HP by so-and-so amount. If the target is an enemy, inflict magic damage equal to so-and-so amount. So, very, very cool. You can either choose to heal, or you can choose to attack. So, that's pretty cool. She offers you a little bit of both. If your enemy is like really low on HP and you just want to take it out real quick, you can go ahead and slap, just go ahead and boom, Freya slapped their ass, and there you go. Or you can say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and heal instead. You can do that. You have the option, because Freya is a beast and she don't care. Activate a barrier around all allies that absorbs up to so-and-so amount of damage, excluding soul damage, for 3 turns. So she's going to kind of give you a little bit of that damage absorption for 3 turns. 3 turns is pretty big when you're talking about a turn-based game. Heals the HP of all allies by so-and-so amount, and grants a soul effect that causes immunity against all damage for 1 turn. All damage. Just ridiculous. And if you guys have ever dealt with Crimson Armin in Epic 7, for example, you know what that's all about. You know what that's all about. Alright, passive 1, 2, and 3, Benevolent Touch, Tablet of Protection, and Soul's Echo. If Freya Healing lands as a crit, activates an enhanced buff over the target that heals so-and-so amount of HP immediately when receiving a turn for 2 turns. Wow. If an enemy's attack lands as a crit, cast an enhanced buff over the ally that reduces damage received by 10% for 2 turns. So she's kind of buffing that damage reduction a little bit more. Very good. So she's playing more of a very excuse me, she's playing a very defensive role for your team here. I mean, obviously she's a healer, but not only she's just healing, she's also reducing damage on top of that healing. So she's just very good if you want to make a very tanky team, and tanky teams do very well in pretty much all aspects of the game. You know, raids, PvP, guilds, wars, stuff like that. You know, tower, dungeons, stuff, anything like that. Healing is always going to be very, very clutch. And when you have a healer that also kind of works as a defensive unit for your whole team as well, that's a plus. That's a big up. When an ally's barrier or damage immunity effect elapses, the target's ally's HP will be healed equivalent to 20% of the amount of damage absorbed or nullified. So, crazy. Even if you just completely cancel out the 20% of damage, she's still going to heal that for you. Insane. Now, her skill gems for her 3 skills increase the crit rate of Celestial Light by 3%, 5% chance of increasing target's defense by 10% for 2 turns, 10% chance of increasing target's attack by 10% for 2. So she's also now acting as kind of a little bit of a mini buffer as well. Just insane. Insane. She's so good. Her HP, her attack, and all of her, both her defense for physical magic are kind of right around, very well rounded, because she's not too low on HP, she's not too high, but she's also not too low or too high on attack, defense for both magic and physical as well. So very, very well rounded stats. She's got the very, I'd say somewhat high, because she's not a tank, but for not being a tank, she's got almost 47,000 HP. You're going to be having her in the second row anyway. She's got almost 7,800 attack, so she's no slouch. Of course, she doesn't have the 8,500 to 9,000 attack that you get from an AoE or a DPS unit, but 7,800 for a healer, that's no slouch. That's pretty good. So she could still give you a little bit of something on that first skill if you need to single target something and get rid of it quickly. She might be able to assist you just a bit if you don't need to heal. 4,600 again on her physical defense, 4,500 on the magic defense. So her stats are pretty well, very well rounded, I guess you could say. Her attack speed 106. She's a little bit on a more of a slower end, but then again, she of course is a healer. Her evasion is 31, her crit's 41. So that is Freya. So if you're looking for a really solid healer right out of the gate, that's gonna help keep your team alive for all facets of the game, look no further than Freya. And then our final one, probably my favorite. And I don't know if it's just he's my favorite because of the way he looks, the way he does his skill animations, his stats, his skills in general. Okay, I'm just joking. I love everything about Fahrenheit. I love his name. His name is pretty awesome, because then every time I can feel like, man, I'm feeling heat, it's because it's getting hot up in here because of the Fahrenheit. So that was just really bad. Just ignore what I just said the last 30 seconds. It don't exist in your minds. All right, so Fahrenheit, why is he a beast? Why is he one of my faves? He might actually personally be my favorite to reroll for in the entire game right now, because his skill set is just disgusting. He's a tank, male, guardians. Of course, he's a legendary. He is going to be the guy you're going to put in the front. You want that's going to be there to protect your whole team, to kind of keep things away, okay? He's going to be Gandalf. You shall not pass. This is going to be the guy that's going to be saying that. We have heavy punishment. What a name. Sacred shield, sacrificial barrier, guardian's challenge, salvation barrier, and valiant resistance. What a grouping of names for skills right there. This man not only looks badass, his skills are badass, he is just badass. So his first skill, front first, means it's only going to attack front enemies first, obviously, unless there is none. And it'll be physical damage, strike the enemy 2 times, dealing X amount of damage. And then the second skill, self-enhanced buff and barrier. Gains an enhanced buff that increases physical defense and magic defense by 3,000 and so amount from your max HP for 3 turns. 3 turns. Okay? 3 turns, and a barrier that absorbs X amount of based on his max HP of all damage forms except soul damage. What? Dude's amazing. Grant, okay, now his ultimate, all allies enhanced buff and soul effect. That's the typing on it. Grants all allies an enhanced buff that reduces damage received by 50%. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Reduces damage received for 50% for 3 turns, and sole effect that allows Fahrenheit to take 100% of damage received instead of his allies. So he can just sit there and absorb the full grunt of the damage, and your allies are completely walking away unscathed. And that's for 3 turns. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay? So if you build this guy as Giro really good, make his defense, his HP as high as you possibly can. Wow. What a tank. What a tank. What a man. What a man. Let's talk about that first. What a man. A man in armor. Ladies can't resist. Hell, I can't resist. He's amazing. I don't even go that route. But boy, woo, it's getting hot in here. Fahrenheit's turning up the heat. Alright, so passive 1, 2, and 3. Cast a physical effect that causes provoke on all enemies with 10% higher attack speed than his own at the beginning of each wave for 2 turns. So he's like, oh, you want to be a turn 1 team? I don't give an F. You can be a turn 1 team. I don't care. You're still going to have to go through the immovable wall, the immovable force, the unstoppable force of Fahrenheit. When HP is below 25%, gains a barrier that absorbs X amount based on his max HP of all damage, excluding soul damage. This effect can only be activated once per battle. So his passive 2 is going to be a one-time use, but still very good in very dire situations until you can pop a heal and then get him right back up. Insane. Reduces damage received by 5% until character's next turn after receiving damage from a direct attack can be reduced up to 30%. This dude is the embodiment of a tank, of a guardian. This man, you put him in the front of all your ladies and they will be living long time. Now, skill gems. 5% chance to stun target for 1 turn. If that goes, I mean, of course, it's a very small chance, but if that goes off, wow. RNG gods, may they be all in your favor. 5% chance of becoming immune to weakened effects for 1 turn. Could be useful, you know, if it does go off. Very low chance, but hey, if it happens, it happens. It's just a bonus, of course. 10% chance of becoming immune to all damage for 1 turn. Now, if that goes off, what? Boy, you are living life. And look at this man's HP, 82,000. Of course, he's a tank, so his HP is going to be really high, but wowzers. 82,000 HP. Of course, his attack is dirt low. He's not an attacker at all. He's purely there to defend, block, you know, keep the kingdom alive. All right? And his physical defense and magic defense are both hovering around that 9k, low 9k marks. Very good unit. His attack speed, of course, is pretty low because he is a tank 105. Evasion's 42, though. Not too bad on the evasion. And crit is 21, so, of course, his crit is very low. But, again, he's not there for damage. He's there to protect all your ladies. You know what. Until he, of course, creates his own harem, and then all those ladies are in trouble. But anyway, so that is my top 3 that I would be going for rerolling for Elune, Fahrenheit, Freya, Mikazuki. If you guys have any other options or choices, let me know in the comment section below. We do got a few others here. Again, Revi and Caroline, if you're looking for more endgame boss fights or endgame PvP, those two are going to be amazing single target. Hope you guys all enjoy as always. Please subscribe for more content here on the channel. I'll be bringing you more Elune probably later today, especially when the game does drop, as well as a reroll guide and some other guides as we go along here on the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying. Again, please subscribe for more if you are new. Join us in the Discord and description below to keep the conversations going before and after the video. And thank you so much for the Elune Wiki for providing us with some of this information so I can make today's video. Also, don't forget to drop a like if this was helpful. Comment again below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have an awesome day wherever you are. Until then, peace.